Well, hello friends, Mark Holmes here, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Yes, I've been out in the elements, and I'm having a bad hair day. It's gotten frizzy. I understand what the women are talking about when they say having a bad hair day, because I'm having a bad hair day. Actually, every day is a bad hair day with this naps I got. But you know what? I'm never going to have it this long again, so we're going to see what it does, okay? You're going to see if I look like Forrest Gump, you know, when he was out doing all the running and everything. I just can't do the running. So I've been out in the middle of nowhere, so I haven't gotten caught up with all the news that is the Dallas Cowboys, because I'm sure we signed all kinds of players, didn't we? I'm sure we signed, you know, that we just went on a tear to rebuild the defense, because that's what Stephen Jones told us. That
with bombs and no names.
Oh. So, interesting that, I don't know if you guys heard about this last night, but there's a lawsuit against DeSean Watson, and I am not saying he is guilty of anything, okay? Because there's always three sides to every story. There's your side, my side, and somewhere in the middle lies the truth. And I talked about this morning, I said that you have a target on your back when you're an NFL player because people are looking to get paid. But what I do find it interesting is how they ain't really talking about it. That if that were, could you imagine if that were Dak Prescott?
Well, they're not obligated to talk. They're not obligated to talk about the Texans. Now, are they? They're obligated. They're contracted to talk about Dallas Cowboys, aren't they? Yeah.
I mean,
that's what they say on the NFL Network.
Okay, but remember when that there was the scandal of Dak Prescott, that they were saying that he had a autograph signing machine in his basement and was, you know, signing his signature in the middle of the nights and stuff, and that whole thing. There was more publicity and coverage of that whole situation than there is of these allegations against DeSean Watson. But, you know, it is what it is. However, here's what's also kind of interesting. We know the Bears wanted to get Russell Wilson, and they literally threw everything at him, and finally Seattle said, you know, we're not doing this. I mean, why take a $35 million dead money hit, you know, to appease them? You're not going to do that.
Well, that's what they did with Carson Wentz.
Well, okay, but the difference was Carson Wentz's ass.
Well, no.
Carson Wentz can't play. Carson Wentz is doo-doo.
No, it wasn't that. He's crying because Nick Foles crying.
Okay, well, regardless, you can't put Russell Wilson and his situation with Carson Wentz.
I'm just saying, though,
they knew we got to get this guy. This guy is a distraction. He's a crybaby, and he sucks, and he's overpaid.
I'm just saying the Bears were trying to go all in on Carson Wentz until they found out about the Nick Foles situation.
Right. Well, that's where I. Anyway, and for some reason, Philly 500 thinks he's going to throw 40 touchdown passes this year and stuff. And it's like, yeah, okay. But anyway, the other interesting point here is that the Eagles, who are famous for ruining quarterback psyches, are interested in DeSean Watson. So
ask Philly 500 though. He's the one that said it.
I'm just thinking, sometimes you get enamored with something, you know, a shiny object that just looks all pretty and everything. And I'm sitting here thinking that Russell Wilson, let me be clear. Excuse me. DeSean Watson's a really great quarterback. Definitely better than Carson Wentz. Definitely better than Hurts. I get that.
No, Hurts is not proven yet.
But the Eagles have a roster that was built by free agents that's aged. They need to rebuild the roster. So the problem with, if you got to give up 3 number ones for DeSean Watson, you are going to have a hard time building a team because you don't have any cash. I mean, you can restructure the heck out of contracts of these old ass guys and keep cutting. But the problem is you make a move like that when you say you're the Bears and we're close. We don't need a whole lot of stuff to compete. Am I wrong? See, the Bears look at it and say, we got a really good defense. You know, we got Khalil Mack and stuff like that. We've got a window. We need a man to pull the trigger. Now, of course, they got Andy Dalton, so they figured that's the guy to pull the trigger.
Wait, they signed Andy Dalton?
Yeah, they signed Andy Dalton.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, they said, you know, if you look at Russell Wilson as like second or third rating, as an NFL quarterback, I think Andy Dalton is like 26 or 27.
As long as it's not with the Dallas Cowboys, I don't care where he goes.
Oh, man. Okay, so they were trying to get a quarterback because their team is close. Sorry. The Eagles ain't close right now. Now, I think they picked up an extra late-round draft pick by trading somebody on their team. But you need all those draft picks to try and fill out a roster. But, hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy with a day job and a voodoo doll who's headed back to his man cave here to kind of get caught up with everything that is the Dallas Cowboys. If there's other news that's going to happen, let me know. Oh, but I had to take about our free agency situation. Here's where, philosophy-wise, where free agency actually worked twice. Actually, we can say 3 times. If you look at the Denver Broncos, and they went ahead and they signed Peyton Manning. They also got D-Ware, 2 really big free agent signings. Although, when they won the Super Bowl, Peyton Manning was a shell of himself. He did get him to the other Super Bowl there with the lights out, 50 touchdown passes season. D-Ware benefited from leaving the Cowboys in the NFC East, going to Denver, because the problem for D-Ware was an incredible edge rusher. The problem with D-Ware was being in the NFC East, which was more run-centric. It wore him down, having to take on all the blocks and everything else in the run game. He was better suited being in Denver, where it was pin your ears back and rush the quarterback. It ended up elongating his career. You could look at it and say free agency got them that Super Bowl. You can look at the Rams situation, where the Rams, and they're still into it, but I think they're into it a little too much. They ended up being that team that's about those big name free agents that they brought in, Ndamukong Suhs and things like that, that have given them an instant boost. The problem, of course, with that is it's short-lived when you're grabbing those 28, 29-year-old people. You'll get that immediate boost, but there's not longevity of it. And so that's where you start to lose it. And that's what happened with the Eagles. They fell in love with free agency. They kept going through and saying, oh, let's just bring back DeSean Jackson. Well, when you miss on a guy like DeSean Jackson and you're paying him premium money, $7, $8, $9 million a year, and they can't stay on the field, well, it screws you. And this is where the Eagles are now. They've continued to build the team with free agents, and they spent too much money in draft capital in getting Carson Wentz, and because he did not work out, now you're spending more draft capital trying to get DeSean Watson. So I don't know. It's a delicate balance. Now, we are on the other end of the spectrum here, where we just say, oh, we're not going to waste anything in free agency. Oh, we don't want to spend any money. And that's why we end up being short when we get a couple injuries on the team, because we just kind of have bargain basement guys that can't play valuable minutes. New England, they understand. People will say, oh, well, nobody in New England's a Pro Bowler, because everybody plays. It's not about 1 or 2 guys. It's about having about 30 guys that play significant minutes. So the tackles, the rushing yards, the receiving yards are all spread out. And stopping that team, it's the same thing. You don't just say, let's just stop that guy and that offense dies. It doesn't. So we'll see what happens. And I'll see you guys later on in the man cave with anything that is the Dallas Cowboys. You got anything good coming up? No? All right, well, we got 56 minutes until New Year. Peace.